Hi there, I'm Julian, and we are going to explore how we can achieve near real-time reporting using Power BI when data is pulled from an API. So as an API endpoint, we use qtimes.com. Here we have two API endpoints. The first gives us the available parks and their specific park ID. And with this park ID, we can go ahead and query the current wait times for the specific park. So in Power BI, there are some options, but they're not as straightforward. It's basically a hybrid approach where you need to do some coding and then have Power BI for the front end part. Let's compare it first, how it works in a web application or in Streamlit, for example. So Streamlit is a Python library which allows you to easily set up such applications without much need of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, if at all. You can also use, of course, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and your favorite framework, but Streamlit doesn't need to make use of that. So in a web application, you can call the API every few minutes. You can call the API based on user selection. If you go, for example, here and select now a different park, it gets refreshed. Or we say, okay, we make it with the click of a button. If you click here, refresh waiting times, so the user can also refresh it. It's also a possibility. So straightforward. With Power BI, however, it isn't, but there are options. So first option is stream a dataset. Second option is to use direct query mode and connect it to a database. Let's explore the streaming dataset first. So for the streaming dataset, we go to our workspace, and in our workspace, we click on create element. And here we have down below our streaming dataset, which we can select. We select API, then we can specify already a name. So we give it a name, and then we specify our keys, which are then later on our columns in our report, and we specify this as an integer. And here we can then say, we toggle this button definitely, because only then it allows us to create as a report based on that. Otherwise, we could only create a dashboard on top of that. What it does, it allows the streaming dataset to cache some historical data. So you have probably also then available the wait times from the API call a few minutes ago. It's limited to the amount of rows and also limited by time. So it's not historical. You will lose it somewhere. So if we hit create, we get our push URL where we can now push our data to in this specific format. As I did this already here at the top, you see, if I click here on API info, you see the given format and so on. And now we can build a report on top of that. We can do this locally or in the service. As I did it, as I have it here locally, you can explore it locally. So please be aware that you cannot connect additional data sources to it, and you can only connect to one streaming dataset. So you need to specify everything in one streaming dataset. And here we have it available. Everything works quite smoothly. And now we want to see it live in action. For this, we can run here the script that I set up. And what it basically does, if I hit here on run, it pulls the data from the two API endpoints from QTimes, transform it a little bit, and then sends it over to the streaming dataset. And additionally to the database that I set up, but more to that later. So we see now it ran successfully, and we can go to our report. And you see here it's this timestamp, and if I click on refresh, we have the latest data now in here. Nice, so this works. And yeah, it's basically real time. It's just near real time because we schedule the script every 5 minutes. In my case, I hosted it on the Azure cloud on a serverless function and schedule it every few minutes or so. So as said in the script, it ran and pushed it to the streaming dataset, but we can also push it to a database. For this, of course, you need to set up a database and push it to it. But if you do so, you can keep track of historical data if you would like to, and you can then use direct query mode in order to build your report on top of that. Direct query mode, this is the report that uses direct query mode. It looks similar to the other, but it's a different report now. This here uses the direct query mode, and as you can see, now we are able to pull also in other data sources. Yeah, it updates itself every time the user interacts with the report, then it pulls the data from the database, and then as we just published it into the database again, we also have it then available in this report. So this here is the streaming dataset report, and here I have the report that is based on the direct query mode. And if I hit here now on refresh, you also see I get the latest timestamp. So both are great options depending on your use case. And if you want to build it on your own, I have everything available here in my GitHub repository. First, here the repository for my Streamlit application. If you want to explore it a little bit, it's an easy thing. And if you want to see it, the script for the near real-time Power BI reporting, you can do so in this repository. Here I have the script, the pure script, so you can run it locally without setting up Azure functions. And you also have the Power BI file in there if you want to explore that. Please be aware, of course, you need to update the URL with your URL from your streaming dataset. And if you want to try it out with a database, you need to have the same schema and also need to change the connection string to your database. That's it. In case of any questions, feel free to reach out, and see you soon.